Okay, I would like to start our seminar lecture. Our guest today is Professor Michaela Roos. Recently, Professor is attached to Ruhr-Universität Bochum, but in the past, Professor worked for East England University and also was assistant professor in the university in Dortmund. What I would like to emphasize, because I think it's really important, that there are various research fields in which professor is engaged, which are important for our project, important for different research groups within our projects. I would like to emphasize complexity economics, also relation between economics and ethics. I would like to remind research interest of Professor Roos in regional economics, also in behavioral and experimental economics. I'm glad that Professor is part in one of project with the participation of our research colleagues. So let's move to the lecture, let's move to the topic, complexity economics and its implication for economic policy. For a couple of us, it's extremely important and very important topic. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind introduction, and also thank you very much for inviting me. So this is my first time in Krakow and even the first time in Poland, so I'm very glad to be here. Yesterday I had a very nice walk through the city center, so it's really a very, very nice place. And we just had a chat, and I also learned that there are many topics that are here that are related to my research. So I'm very glad that I have the opportunity to talk a little bit about my research field, which is complexity economics in a very general sense. And I'm going to explain what complexity economics is, and then I'm going to explain why I believe complexity economics is really important for economic policy. So, to give you an overview of what I want to do, I first want to talk about complexity in general, complexity science and complexity economics, and then I will compare it to what I call mainstream economics, right? So the neoclassical economics that you find if you read the international journals and if you take any American textbook, microeconomics or macroeconomics. So this is what I call mainstream economics, and I will compare complexity economics and how it differs from mainstream economics. And then I move on to policy and explain what we can derive for policy from mainstream economics, and then how policy implications from complexity economics would be different. And at the very end of my talk, I would like to give you a very brief example of what we are doing at my research group, some specific project where we try to apply these insights from complexity economics to a policy-relevant field. Okay. Okay. So complexity. So what do we mean by complexity? I think everybody has heard the saying that, well, the world is now more complex and it's very volatile and there is a lot of uncertainty. So also in the business community there is a lot of talking about complexity, but we can also try to make it a bit more precise, and I present you here a definition from the Santa Fe Institute in the United States, which is one of the worldwide leading institutes that do research on complexity, and they say complexity arises in any system in which many agents interact and adapt to one another and their environments. These interactions and adaptations result in evolutionary processes and often surprising emerging behaviors at the macro level. And a very similar definition, a bit shorter, by John Holland is this one. Complex adaptive systems are systems that have a large number of components, often called agents, that interact and adapt or learn. So this interaction between the agents is really important, and these agents change their behavior because they learn and adapt to what the others do. So this is really something that is important. And it's also different from what we do normally in macroeconomics, where we often have representative agents or look at average behavior. And here this is not about average behavior. So this interaction is really important. And here in the definition of the Santa Fe Institute, I was talking about emergence or emerging behavior. So what do I mean by emergence? Emergence is the arising of novel and coherent structures, patterns and properties during the process of self-organization in complex systems. So we get, at some macro level, we get some structures or properties that are not there at the micro level, right? And maybe to give you some examples, maybe two simple examples, if you think, for example, about families, which would be the agent or the components, and a city, which would be